do we how do we connect the database? Yes, no. Okay. So let me I'm sharing my screen. So let's get started. So today I'll show you. We'll discuss it again, okay? So that you can understand it. So this is like a basic class that we have written to connect to the database, okay? So how do we register the database? Like JDBC connection to connect with the database. And this is like, the object that we have created for the connection interface. And with the help of, like, you can see that we have passed the URL and then username and password, okay? Did you try installing MySQL at least? So I was about to
No, Shrikant, actually my laptop is getting stuck. There is something issue with that.
Okay. So let me do one thing, guys. So I'll just share the document. How do we install this MySQL? Okay. So I have just saved it. I'm going to give it to you. Okay. So let me just go ahead and try to see the downloading and installation of MySQL. Okay. So here we're just sending this to you. So just give me a second. I'm sharing the document. And today you can try it. Okay. So in the WhatsApp group, I'm just adding it here. Okay, with this you should be able to download MySQL. Then after you can able to connect to the database. Okay, so this is what the class that we have to do, and how do we add this jar file and all, so that we have discussed, right? So here we have the jar file. So Maven dependency. How do we add this Maven dependency? So go to the pom.xml file. We need to just add this dependency. MySQL. So how do we find out what is the MySQL version that we have to add? Is like we need to check for we need to install and we need to check for the version in the MySQL. Okay. So then you can add this. After this, you can go and try to create this class, and you can see that all all the classes that whatever all the things whatever we have created as part of the classes will be helpful to add the read the data from here. So this is fine. Yesterday we looked into like we are just printing the data. Okay, but now how do we use it during the scripting? Okay, so for this what I'm going to do is like I'm going to make this as like a get data method from database. Okay, so here I'm going to remove this, and here instead of adding or printing it to it, so what I'm going to do is like I'm going to create a hash map. Okay, so this hash map will store the data in the form of like key value. Okay, so we can say data is equals to new hash map. Why do we need to take the hash map? If you have something key value pair. Okay, so in this case we need to go and use this hash map. So hash map, we need to import it from the util package, and you can see I'm just going to add these things to the data. Okay, data dot put username and password. Okay, if I say username and password, so username and password will be stored. So whatever we see. Now what I'm going to do is like I'll just write a simple method here. Otherwise, I'll call it in the different class. Okay, so here under this test, I'm going to create a class called read data from DB. Okay, So here I'm going to use red test, and this test will read the data from the DB. Read data from DB. Okay, so this is the method I'm using here. So how do I get this data? So hash map, I'm going to create a hash map here. Okay, so this hash map will return me the data. So from where I need to get this? What is the class name? DB config. Okay, so DB read data from DB. Is it DB config or yeah, DB config class, right? So this is a DB config class dot get details. Okay, so now I got this. So from where I return type. Okay. So this is what it's going to return, right? So I return data. So I'm just putting it. So data, I'm adding these details here, and this it's going to return me the data. So what it will do, it will add like username and password, whatever data that we have, it's as part of the username and password that will be added to the hash map. Now hash map will return me that. So what I'm returning now, I'm returning the data. So this will be returning me the hash map. Okay. So here I'm going to do one thing. I'll just use the iterator directly. Okay. So hash map dot entry set. Otherwise, what is that? We need to add the data developer project. So here we can do whatever we want. Okay, let me not make it complex now. I'll put this one here. Now we got this. So it's going to throw the exception and we got the data. So how do we read the data from the hash map? So we have to use the map dot entry. Okay, so this is nothing but it's going to read the data in the form of like, so it's completely, it's going to give me the map. So map data dot entry set. So I got the set here. So directly I'm going to print the values. So what is that I'm going to print here? So username map dot get key, and what is the value of it is like, I'm just aligning the value. Okay, so username, and we have map dot okay, key and values. I'm just storing it here. So it, but you see that now what I'm trying to do is like just I'm, we got the username and password admin, and see password, the username and password, but we are getting only one set of entity. You see that only we are getting one set. That's nothing but what is happening here. If I try to print it here, it will print. Okay, but finally what it is doing is like it is just adding the last entry would be added and it's going to give it to us. To avoid this set of things, what we are trying to do is like we are going to create like we have already created here. So here we are going to create one other method, okay, in this class to read the data in the form of like, so just what I'm doing is like now only the last record I'm getting, but what is that I need to get is like I need to get all the records, right? So let me open my SQL. How many records are there? Open this and see that we have lot many records there, right? Opening. Yeah. We wait and again restart it. Wait. Sorry for the inconvenience, but the special exception as it dies for one of the value negative is. We need to can press report button. there is some issue that which has been reported. Let's go and try to. Okay, so it should open. Let me just open with the command prompt. Another one is like we have a command prompt also. MySQL command. Open in a command prompt. Connect to database, otherwise we can see local instance in root. We have a port and we have like, okay, to bench team. So something is like issue with this. Actually, it should connect to the database, but we are able to get the data from there. Okay. So a new module we need to create a new module. Let me just open this MyDB, add table, add view. So we don't need this. WhatsApp. Okay. So let me. SQL. SQL. SQL, and it should. There's some issue, guys. Actually, I am like why this is like reported, but there is. Okay, let me do one thing. Already we have this DB, and let me update this. Okay, so maybe there could be some issue with this version or something. So let's go to this downloads, and I'll just open this community installer. So it should be quick enough to install this. There is some. Only two things were missed yesterday, so that is the reason why it is showing up these two things. Configure. I'm just giving my username. I'm just trying to reconfigure it. It's already there. I'm just checking it like everything is good. Scripts. Okay, so it is like development center. So this we need not to change anything. So I'm just trying to set. Okay, the configuration is set now. Still there is something issue. Let's not waste our time. So I'll just try to use this command prompt. Otherwise, I'll take new. Okay. Sorry, it will not allow me to do this now. So I'll just close this. We have a command line for this. So we can use that command and also MySQL command line client. Enter password. So here okay, welcome to MySQL monitor. So it will show, if I say show database, so it will show me all the databases. Okay. Show databases. Otherwise, we can say show databases. Otherwise, we'll try to see that select. We have already used that, right? So user details. So what is that? User details. Why is it not showing up? Let me just check what are the help actually. Okay, so it's saying that connect user details. Reconnect query. Let me just so we are connecting. In case like if we are using a MySQL server, so we can use use database name. So what it says like it's like saying that we are going to reconnect or connect to the database, execute an SQL file, okay, get the status. So let's go and try to see that how we use this W3C schools. So W3C schools MySQL. Okay, just go ahead and see the tutorial. So we can, I'll try to have this commands. Okay, so command line. I'm just trying to see that what are the commands that we can use for the command line. Okay. SQL commands with list with examples. Just we'll see this. So use DB name. So that is what I was trying to define. Four databases. I just did the same thing is right. So let me clear it out. So show databases. Maybe I just missed this. Yeah. So semicolon I missed it. So that is the reason why it was right. So use user details. So this is nothing but the database that I'm database change now. Okay. So now you can see that select what is that DB that we have select a star from table name that we have to use the details or whatever table that we have here. So we can give the table name. So we have given already this, right? So user credentials. So we can take this and we can credentials. Select a star from user. Let me paste it.
Spelling mistake is credential.
data, these are the databases that we have. Okay, so what is that? User credentials. Okay, let me just copy it from here. Okay, I'll take complete. But now we have already connected, right? So select. Okay, let me paste it here. Yeah, right. Yeah, we got it. Yeah. Maybe there is some user. See, you can see here. So what is the problem here is like we are taking it like it's considering those upper cases also. Okay, case sensitive. I can see this is the data that we need to have, right? So in case like now I'm taking username and password and I'm trying to store it. So what it is doing is like data, whatever we are trying to store is like maps and tables, right? In case of like maps. Okay, so hash table or map that we can use. Now what it will do is like first it will add it and we have like a same key value and a key and the value. Okay. So what it does is like we have a same key and the value. So what it will do is like if we have a key is like a duplicate, then what it does like it's going to overwrite. Okay. That is the reason why what we are getting here is like we are getting only admin 1, 2, 3. Okay. But now we need like all username and password should be displayed. Okay. Displayed in the sense I should be using this one for the iterations. Okay. So how do I do this now? How do I do this? So to use this, what I'm going to do is like, I'm going to create a class. So that class is already created here. Okay. So read data from the database. So now I want to get two things, username and password. Okay. So here I'll go and comment this. Just give me a second. Yes. Hello. Hello. Yes. Okay. Sorry guys, between I got a call. So I just want to see now, this is like, I'm just checking like what is the data that I'm getting now. Okay. So this way it is not helpful for us. So how do I get this data? Okay. So now you see what I'm going to do is like, I'm going to create variables, private string, username and private string password. Okay. Now observe carefully. What I'm going to do is like, I'll be using this particular two variables as like, I'm going to set the value and get the value. Okay. So why do I need to use this Pojo is like, this is like Pojo class, what we say. Okay. Pojo class. So what do we do with the Pojo class is like, we are going to set the value and get the value. Okay. And it is like we are encapsulating, like this is concept of encapsulation. Okay. Setting and getting the values is like encapsulation. So for example, I want to get username and password. These are the two columns. For now, I want to get it from the table. This is a table, right? So I want to get it from there. In future, you see that I want to get user ID, user location, user relocation, user age. So this is the user occupation. This is what the tables are. This is what the column that I want to get from this table. In that case, directly we need to create a variable here, and we can add a getter setter. So this getter setter, what it does is like it's going to first set the value and it will get the value in return. Okay, we'll see how do we implement this Pojo class. Okay, so this is helpful when you are trying to add multiple sets of data. Okay, so as a variable, now you see what I'm going to do. I'll go here and go to this source where we have source. This is the source and add the getter setter. Okay, so getter setter. You can see what is that method that automatically if we create is like get set. Okay, get set username, get set password. Now I have created this. Okay, see, automatically it will set the value. What is it? What is it going to set the value? Username. So username dot username is something. This is the username and password. This is the username and password. So now what we do here is like here we need to create object for this class. Okay, so we need to create object for this class. How do I create the object for this class? So here you see, read data. Okay, so now we need to so we cannot do it here. We have to do it here. So we need to import this one. we have this class here located and read data database. And what is that configuration? We have this configuration. So we have to import it, okay? Parameter. Let me add it, otherwise we can. Let me import it from this import sample. One base class that we are able to get it. Project that we have sample project and sample project. Okay, let me just rename this, guys. So save it. Maybe that it's not picking up from this location. Let me just take it as like project 1. So there I got it. What is the problem is like, cannot rename this one here. Otherwise, it's going to mess up all the things. Okay? So I'll just continue this package here. Reconfig. Okay. Let me do one thing. What I'm going to do here is like, sorry guys, I need not import this one. So first I'm going to take this one as like a list of read data. Okay. So read data. So why I do need to take this list of read data? This is like, so I want to store all the data in the form of like object. Okay, so this is nothing but a list I have taken and the type is like read data from database. So this is what I'm going to read. So let me do it to make it little comfort. I'm going to pull out this class, wherever the class that we have. So here, this one I'm going to pull out and I'm going to put it here. Okay, so it's kind of like we are just making available in the locally. Okay, yeah. So now it's like it will not make any issue. Only thing is like it's not getting accessible from this to here. Okay, so that is what the issue here. So what I did is like, now I just made it locally available here in the under the DB configuration. Okay, so we can create classes anywhere, but the thing is like, if you want to read some data or else if you want to make that particular class available and it should be like, visible to every other classes, then you can make it as like local and you can put it anywhere. But here some constraint is like it's not able to get it. Okay, so it's kind of like we have to adjust in the Maven. That we'll see little later. But our concept now is like we want to read the data and we want to store the data as form of like a list of class. Okay, so this is nothing but a list of class. Okay, so what it does is like, now you see guys, so I'm going to create object for this particular class. So here object is equals to, why are we doing this? Now it's kind of like we are going to store the data in the form of like list of read data from. Okay, so that's nothing but what we do is like we read the data from that particular result set, and this result set data will be stored as part of like a class. Okay, so this should be array list. Implementation class of list is like array list. Okay, so now you can see array list. So this I need to make it as like a static so that it will be available here. See, what happens is like, first we'll create a object, and this object that we are going to add it. Okay, add it to the, this is nothing but now it is kind of like a object. So this object will store what is the data that we are going to store as part of like object. So username and password. Okay, so this username and password will be written back to the, like whatever we are going to create it as like a list of read database. Now we tried with hash map, but it is taking only one last thing, or only one last data, what we are putting it. Okay, so that is the reason why we are changing it to the array list. So now array list will be taking care of, like, all the data that whatever we are trying to store will be taken care as part of like array list. So it should be read only. Okay, so now we have created this thing. Now what we are trying to put is, like, we are trying to put this directly. So we are going to add this read data and read data dot. So whatever we are going to get as part of, like, method, there we are going to set it. Okay, read data set dot data dot set here we have to only create this read data object. Okay, so then we have to add it to the array list. Let me just go back and I'll explain it again. Okay, so now what I'm trying to do is, like, I'm going to create object for this particular class, and from there I'm going to call this method set username. I'm going to set this username, and I'm going to add that set whatever we are going to set as part of, like, set username password, that will be added to the data. So why do we need to take this one is, like, see, I'll just remove everything and I'm going to clear it. Okay, now earlier we tried to add it to the hash map, but hash map is taking only one key value. Okay, so if key is duplicated, what it is going to do is, like, it's going to override the value. So I don't want to have this confusion. So what I'm trying to do is, like, I'll just remove everything. I'll just do it again. Okay, so it will be easy for us to understand. Now, first thing is, like, I'll go here and I'm trying to create a reference variable to this class. So why I need to create reference variable to this class is, like, I want to get the username and password. Okay, how many values that we have here? So we have, like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 rows are there. I want to get the 6 rows of data and the column name and the user password. Okay, so that's nothing but 6 rows of data of username and password. So this I want to get it. So for this, what I'm going to do is, like, I'm going to create a variable, private variable, because I want to get the value. I want to first set the value, and that I want to get the value. Okay, so get the value of that particular username. So whenever if I'm trying to see, now what I'm trying to do is, like, I'm setting the value. If I want to get the username of that particular column, then what I'm going to do is, like, I'm going to use this get username. Okay, so instead of writing it manually, so we have an option here so that we can go and try to create it using this source. Okay, so how do we create a getter setter for this is, like, we need to go to source and we need to add this getter setter. Okay, so now we have this getter setter for every column. Okay, for every column, if you want to pull out, then you have to have this getter setter. And this getter setter is nothing but for every object. Okay, so here I'm going to create an object for this class. Every time I'm going to iterate this. Whenever I'm going to iterate this is a result set, there I'm going to create an object for this class. Okay, so let me do it now. So here I'm going to add read data is equals to new read data from database. So now what it does is, let's see. Now it has created the object. So when I say read data dot set username. So what is that username that I have to set? rs dot get string. Okay, so earlier we have directly called it. Now what I'm trying to do is, like, I'm going to set it as part of, like, an object. Okay, so same way I'm going to use it for the password. Set password. So rs dot set, sorry, get string, and you have to give the password. What is that? We have user password. Okay, column name. So user password. Okay, so now data dot whatever data that we have, that we are going to add it as, like, a object here. Okay, so now you see it is see, I'll explain it in a paint. Okay, so here we have a database, and here we have written a class, and here we have a reading database. Okay, so this is database. Okay, So here we are getting data. Okay, data from DB and using, sorry, we are returning kind of results. So here we have created username, password, and we have like setting, setter, and we have like getter. So what it does is like, and here what we have list of what is that class, some read class. Okay, so read class. So read class, and I'm going to create object for this read class. Read class read. Okay. Now, when I use this result set, right? So it's going to bring only one row and the columns based on your method, like rs.get string and the column name. It will bring one row and it's going to give it here. Okay. So, but our result set, what it does is like it's going to have it's going to have the results like in a groups in the sense it's kind of like it's like a group. We have like rows and columns. So, but when we are iterating it, it will bring only one row, like the column details. Okay, the first row, let us take like first row, and we have a column like first column, second column. Here we have username, password. Okay, so these details will be coming when the iteration is done. So while this iteration is done, what I'm going to do is like here I'm going to create object for this class. So read, what it does is like now read is a object. So read dot set, if I'm setting some value. So what I'm going to do is like I'm setting that value, and after setting that value, it will be stored as part of like a object. Okay, so it's kind of like a stored as part of like a object. So read dot set username, say read dot set password. Then both the things I'm going to add it as like a object to the list. Okay, now it's kind of like it's going to iterate this list also. Okay, so that is the reason why I'm putting all this code inside this file. First is like it will bring the data of, okay, so first object is created for the first object is created. First object will store the values like get password, set password, and use set username and set password. So it's going to set it now. Okay, set it. So I'm going to now have set it, right? So now after setting it, what I'm going to do, I'm going to add this object to this particular list. Okay, so first set of data is added. That is nothing but admin 1, 2, 3, whatever we have data. Okay, first row 1. Okay, row 1 with object. What is that object that we have created? Read data. Okay, so if you see here, if you go here and try to, if you want to get that, okay, so get the data. So you can say get index of first row. Okay, first row dot get username. Okay, so data dot get 0 dot get password. So what it does is like it will set the details of this username and user password into this particular method, and this method, this whatever we are adding as like object, this object is added to the array list. Okay, so that is nothing but list of, that is the reason why we have taken the list of read data from database. Whatever objects that we are creating as part of this class will be stored inside this list. So that is the reason why we have taken this as like a generic type. Okay, so we can store all the objects of this particular class to this list. Okay, this is nothing but generic. Only it will accept this one. If you try to add something else, it will not accept. Okay, for example, if you add, see, so what it is doing now, it will throw the error. Okay, so it will throw only method. It's going to accept this particular read-only data. Okay, read data from DB. So that is the only object that it's going to accept. Now you see when I say this, so what is it going to do is like it's going to iterate. Let me do one thing. I'll not return data here. Okay, I will make it as like a void and we'll try to print the data. Okay, now we are adding this data to this data, right? So data is nothing but, so it's a array list. So we are adding this particular object to the array list and then we are trying to iterate it. Let me just do one thing. I'll just control that. I'll cut it here. I'm going to use for loop. So it's kind of like an object, right? So we are going to take the object, DB details. and data. Okay, now we got all the data. Okay, so now we got all the data. Now we want to print it. So how do I print it now? So here you can see DB details. We got the data. Okay, let me do one thing. I'll just use the traditional approach so that I can use the iterate one. So data.size and I plus plus. Okay. So here I'm going to use data.get index.get username. Okay. So why I'm taking this one is like I have multiple sets of values in the database. So I want to get all the data from the database. Okay. So now when I execute this, so if I'm putting this one as like a test here, you should able to see all the data that we have stored as part of like read data. That's nothing but we are setting these values, right? So set username, set password. So should be displayed here. Okay, username, get password and get username should be displaying our details here. Okay, we did not print it actually. Okay, so we retrieved it, we did not print it. So here system out. So why are we doing this? Is like we want to use this particular class for our real-time execution. Okay. I tried with multiple things before showing it because I want to ensure that if that data can be stored as part of like I just don't want to confuse you. I was just making a trials here so that the data can be stored as part of like maps as well as like list. So here is like best suited is like we want to store it as like a list. Okay. So the reason is like we want to have multiple sets of data from the rows, from the table. So you can see admin 123, admin 123. If I try to add this to the map, what happened is like it's only pulling out that particular last one, like last row itself it's coming, because the reason behind this is like, see, if we have a duplicate key, then what it does is like, see, or duplicate keys are not allowed in Hashmap. So that is the reason why what it is doing is like it is just overriding this value. Okay, so first value is like, okay, this is fine. So after that it sees that key is duplicated. So that is the reason why it is every time it's overriding, it is only putting one value at a time. Okay, so to avoid this, what I've done is like I've just created a list of read data from DB class, and only I'm going to accept the objects of this class. Okay, object in such number. See here, what I'm trying to do is like I'm going to create an object from this class. So this object will set the value, and after setting this value, it's going to add this object here. So once we set this, automatically this get value, when we are calling this get value, what it does is like it's going to return that particular username or password. Okay, so setting is like setting username. We have set this value. So where these values are getting set, so these values are getting set in this particular variables. So when you try to call this get username, so it will bring you this value. Whatever value we have is like it's going to return it. So, and where are we storing it? We are not storing anywhere, but we are trying to print it here. Okay, here you can see. You can just store it in string also. If you want to store it, you can use like string username, and username is like we have this data dot get I and dot we have like username. Okay, so now it is like storing in this particular username. You can just go and print it here. Okay, anyways, like whichever way we want, we can do it. But now we got the data. Okay, so directly what I'm going to do is like now I'm going to use the return type. So here I need to add this return type, and here I'm going to put it. Okay, so now we are getting data from this particular class. Okay, so how do we use it now? How do we use it now? Go to the login. We have already set some data here, data provider. Okay, so data provider, but we want to, for example, I want to get only URL. We are getting it from the properties class. Now is that I want to get the data from the database. So for that, let us do one thing. I want to get like username, user location, user occupation. Okay, so these are the two things that I want to get it. So let me go here. User patient. So location. Okay. So now we go here and we'll try to change this one. Okay, this columns I want. Okay, now I want these columns. So what I'm going to do is like, I'll just go ahead, change it to username, occupation. Changing all these things. Okay. Not a big deal. Let me just delete it. Now you see again, I'm going to create course data setter. I'll type this. Now we got the data setter for this. Okay. So same thing, I'm going to use it here. Instead of this, I'm going to use at user location, at user occupation. So rs dot get the string. And string is like user location. Same thing, I'm going to copy and paste it here, and I'm going to change user occupation. Okay. So now we are getting the data now. Okay. So user occupation, and we are adding these details now. So I'm coming here, and so we have entered username and password. So if it is like valid username and password, that it will print it here. Another thing is like I want to say, for example, now what I want to do is like I want to add the logger also. Okay. So log we have this log XML, right, which is kind of like file which will log the details of that particular class. So from here we have already created this logger class. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is like I'm going to use that logger class here. Okay. So in real time, how do we exactly use it? See, logger log is equals to logger class dot get log and the class name that we have login dot. Okay. So now I want to, this is like we have to import it from the util. We have to import it carefully. Okay. So org dot we have like log4j. This is what we have to util dot login. Not this one. Okay. Let me go ahead and check what is the package that we have used. Yeah, we have used that. This is the package that we have to import. Okay. So let me just copy this, and I'm going to paste it here. Now this import. Okay, so now we are importing this from the Apache login.log4j.logger. Okay, so now I want to get that the database. Now we should get the details from the database, right? So what do we do now? So what is the type of data that we want to get it? So this is what username and location that we have, and this is the method that I need to follow. Okay, so where we are going to store the data, it is returning as part of like list of read of read data from database. Okay, so I'll take this one, I'll come here, and I'm going to add this as like data is equals to what is the class name that we have created. So it is under the dbconfig. dbconfig dot get data based from the data. This is what we have to import. Now it's going to So we have a data that is going to return DB data. Default constructor cannot handle exception type exceptions thrown. Okay. So this is nothing but it cannot directly. So here what I'm trying to do is like I'm just trying to call this method. So which is returning the exception. We have to call it inside this particular class. Okay. So a particular method. Sorry. So now what I'm going to do is like I'm going to call it as like DB data is equals to, now you see it will not throw the exception because it says like, constructor, it's going to throw this method, it's going to throw the exception, but we cannot throw this exception at the class level. We have to throw the exception at the method level. So that is the reason why it was throwing the error. So I got this. Now I want to get the details of each and every person. Okay. So I want to know the user location, and what are the things that we are trying to get is like we want to get user location and occupation. Okay. So here also we can see that data provider has like only two sets of data. Okay, two sets of data. And other thing is like, guys, we can just go ahead here and we can store the values. Okay, the other thing is like we can get that particular DB details and we can store it in a data provider. Okay, so that we'll discuss little later. But now what I'm trying to do is like I'll set 5 sets of data. Okay, so that we can see the username and password for that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, let me just do this. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so this is what I'm going to remove this. Now I want to log it. Okay, so log.info will have this username db data dot get. So again, you can see the indexing, it's going to do it. So here what I'm going to do is like I'll put so anyways we are getting the size of it, right? So data provider, what it does internally, it will go and iterate it. So instead of doing that one, so what I'm going to do is like I'm going to just take a variable as like int is equals to 0, and this will be static so that I can increment it. Dot get user location log.info. I'm not printing it on the console, but I'm just printing it on the console instance. I'm not using system.out. I'm using the log.info. Okay, so that we can use. We are using property classes. We are using a data provider, and we are using database, and then we are trying to get the data from the database. Okay, so now you see I dot. So what it does is like it's first time it's going to get the object value of this first. Let me like we have added this object here, right? See, we are adding object for each and every variable. Okay, I mean like every time when we run it, so it's going to create an object here. Okay, so first object is added, second object is added, third object is added. Okay, first object added along with the details. So it will be like, no, all the data will be stored inside this. Okay, data.add. So likewise, it will keep on iterating until that particular result set is completed. Okay, so here after completing everything, so just I'll increment this so that we can get the data from that particular database. So we'll try to execute it 5 times. It's going to execute. Okay, so let me, so here, if assertion is failed, it's not going to increment this one. So let me just put it here somewhere after this. Okay, so just to show you like how do we exactly use it. If you want to use the data from the database directly, you can use it. So how do we use it? Like just we need to iterate like number of times for loop. But we are giving the data provider. That is the reason why I'm not giving any for loop here. Okay. So we'll try to do that one also. Now we'll try to execute this. So it will execute for the 5 times. What it is saying Login admin. Okay. Oh, parameter browser is before method. Okay. We need to execute this one from the test injection. It will not directly take it. Okay. Parameter we are setting it where we are setting it the base class. So we are extending the base class. So base class will take care of like setting the parameter. So here you see that it's not executing. So what I've done is like to make it silent. So now do you see that Srikanth QA? So from where it is coming? It is coming from the database. You can see Srikanth QA. So next search QA1. So it will print those details here. But why is it not executing? So it is executing silently. To execute it silently, we have something called Chrome options. Okay. So here you can see I'm adding a Chrome option. This is kind of a class. So which will help you to configure the browser. Okay. So here what I'm trying to do is like I'm just adding this Chrome option. How do we add this Chrome option? It's a just a variable, just an object that we need to create for this Chrome option, and we have to add the arguments. So argument I have given like headless. When I say headless, it will silently execute. It will not show up the UI. Okay, it's not showing up any UI here. So it is silently executing. You can see all the details are getting printed here. Sad, Devi, Tarsha, and finally you'll get Ashok, QA4. So all the details are printed over there, right? So now it will stop the execution. Only we have like 4 sets of data. How many sets of data? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 sets of data. And we have given 5 sets of data. So in data provider, how many data we have? Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Also said 10 times it has taken. Okay, let's see why this is like it has taken 10 times. And 1, 2, 3. Say login. Okay. See, we have two tests, right? Two tests are defined here. So when you go to this XML file here, you can see we have two tests. So that is the reason why it was executing like 10 times. But because it's like 5 into like 5 plus 5, okay? 5 sets of data, 5 sets of data. Altogether, it will execute 10 times. But here, in this case, whatever we are trying to execute is like, it's only for the first time. It's only for the first time that it's going to execute the data, because we are just given that one as like, only we have 5 sets of data. So that is the reason why it's like bringing 5 sets of data from the database. Okay. But you can see this is like recorded in. When you go here and try to refresh this. So this is the log that it has created, 06. Let me open. You can see all the details from the database are pulled out, and it is like showing here. Okay. So now you see that we have read the data from the database, and we are storing this data in the form of like a list of objects. That's nothing but list of generic type. Okay. The class that we have created here. And here, if you want in future, if you want to add like more number of columns, then you can directly go and add a column here and add the getter setup. And if you want to get the data from the database, then you can directly go here and you can add this particular line here, so that you'll get the other details also. For example, if you want to get user age, okay, so let's go here and you can add the user age here. So private. Why I'm making this private is like I don't want to expose this variable outside. So just I want to use it inside this class. Okay, so now you see I'm going here, rightly go to source or getter setter. Let's say getter setter here. So getter setter will be added for this user agents. You want to get the details of it. So directly you can just use this or set user age or s dot get string, and here you can see user age. So now go here in the login, add one more. See, it can be hundreds of columns at how many number of columns that we want to fetch, we can easily fetch it. Okay. So now you see that user age. Okay. Let me remove this because it will execute all. Oh, it will throw the error. 1 second. We need to run it from the test.xml. Now I don't want to run it from the test.xml. I'll run it from the pom.xml because we have configured that test.xml from this pom, right? So you can see we have configured test.xml. How do I run it now? Right click on this, run as Maven test. So this is nothing but a hybrid framework, guys. Now you can see the reports also generated. Okay, reports will be generated. If you want to write it to the report, then you can write it to the report also. See now, it is writing all the details, whatever we are trying to put, right? So you can see. So first it has pulled this. Second, it's going to pull the second. Okay. First, it's like it opened the Chrome driver. It is inserting the data, but it is doing silently because we have set this. Okay. If you want to see, sometimes we see that we are going to get some set of notifications and all. Okay. So you can say disable notification. How do we add it? So options dot add arguments, and inside this you can add we have like disable notifications. Okay. So if any notifications that we are getting, so that will be disabled. Okay, disable notification. So we can go ahead and see what are the Chrome options that are available as part of Chrome. I can type here Chrome. Yes. Arguments list. Some blog we can just go ahead and see that. Okay, what are the options that we have inside? What are this we can see? Arguments start maximized. Okay, so we can like once it is started, we can maximize the browser and see. These are the different set of arguments. See, this we can pass it. If you want to open it in incognito, we can open it in incognito. So headless mode, disable extensions. So these are the different things that we have. Okay, disable info bar. So if something is shown as like info bar, then we can disable. Okay, so we have this set of things. We can use them as part of our Chromium capabilities. So this is an official site. We can go ahead and see that. So how do we set this? Chromium options, add the extensions. If you want to add the extensions, or if you want to add the arguments, that you can add it. Okay, so all these desired capabilities will be there, so we can add it. So this is like we have the options, but few options that we'll be using it. Okay, so here I'm using only the Chromium headless so that it is not showing up. If I just comment this one, now you see. So what it does, it's going to show up, or it will execute in a, yeah. So few cases are passing and few are failing here because we have like data 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever we are trying to run, it is like failing. Now you go and try to execute it. Now I'm just disabling. I have disabled that whatever we have added, right? Like headless argument that I have disabled. I will comment it out. Now you can see it will open the Chrome browser. Let's to save this. I'm just closing this, guys. To save our time, what I'm going to do is like I'll try to add one more thing here. So that is nothing but I'll go to the login page, go to the data provider class, and in this data provider class, I'm going to set it as like a parallel is equals to true. Okay. So to have this here, I'm going to say data provider thread count is equals to 10. 5 at least. I just want to open 5 browsers at a time. So, but we have to add one more thing here. So that's nothing but we have to add the thread pool, thread local for this. So when I run it, so it will open 5 browsers at a time. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Few may not work as we thought, but here in execution, you can see what is happening now. See, all it has written, like all the data that we are getting it from, see which pool it is, like service pool 1, service pool 0, service pool 2, service pool 3, and service pool 4. Okay. Few things would not work to make it like the driver should be like, opened in a separate thread pool all the time. Like taking one thread at a time, then what we have to do is like we have to add. See, we have already discussed everything, right? So what we can do is like now we can just go ahead and add it. Here we can go ahead and add. We need to add local thread local, sorry. Thread local. Thread local of what? Thread driver. Okay. So thread local of driver. And here you can, what we are trying to do here it's like you see d is equals to driver. But what is that we need to do now? We have to create this one equals to, we have created it. Now it's kind of like we have to use me dot set new from driver. So everywhere we have to use this one. So okay, you can see that lot of things that we have here. So we need to change all of them. Now it is like we have thread set. Okay, so it's kind of like it's going to take each thread at a time. This is what in real time, everything will be in place like this. See, all the 5 browsers are working now, right? You can see I'm just moving browsers here. All the 5 browsers are working. Okay. Now I can get the results here. Okay. So failure also, it will show why it is failing. Okay. Passing all them, why it is failing, it will show. And you can see this one. So now we do one thing, right click, refresh. When the log, you see all the log. It's like I've just given that append false. So that is the reason why in config, I've just given it as like a append false. Okay. So here in this, you can see append false. If I say append true, then it will append it. Okay. Append false is like it will newly create. Again, it was going to refresh everything. So this is one thing. Another one is like we need to get the report also, right? So we need to get the report. Refresh it, you'll get the report. So this is the report, and you can see the timestamp also. Right click and open with your browser. Now it is like this is a report. Browser launched, and this is the URL been entered. And why it is failing is like this is the reason why it is failing. Okay, browser closed. So which test is passing, everything is like clearly shown. Now we can see the results also. Like there are like how many tests where we have passed? One test failed, one it is showing. Let's see that what is that. Because we have one test here, so that is the reason why it is showing one test failed. But come here and see. It will take some time to load this. See. One test failed tests. How many infos are there? How many passed and how many? See, these are like log events. Okay. So 16 pass and 2 fail, 1 info failed. So this you send it to the team. They'll just see that what is happening. Okay. So why is it failing? It's like just we need to check this one. So tomorrow we'll discuss about like how do we add the screenshots to this failed. Okay. If it is like this one is failing, so for example, this particular method is failing. So what we need to do is like we need to just add. Okay. So I'll tell you like what is this markup helper dot create label method name along with this result dot get throwable dot extension color is nothing but a what color that you want to put. If it's like pass, then you want to put it as like green. If it is like fail, then you want to put it as like red. Okay. So these are like few methods that we have inside this login. Okay, reports login. So this is all about like reading the database. Now I showed you like how do we exactly retrieve that. Now, if you want to add just like no, this is only a simple thing in case like if you want to read the data. So let me do one thing. I'll cover this one as today itself. So that will be easy for us to understand. Now I'm going to copy this. I'll paste it. I'll comment this. Okay. So I'm going to comment this one. Now I'm going to use username and password from the database. Okay, not the data provider. I'll remove this data provider. Okay, so now we don't have any data provider. Okay, let me comment this one. So if I comment this one, it will show the other. Okay, login from DB. Let's give the tag as like login from DB. Okay, so here, what I'm going to do is like I'm going to add for loop. Okay, for int I is equals to 0, I is less than. So what is that we need to get now? Okay, so we'll do one thing. I'll just remove this one. I'll put inside this for loop. After creating the object, we'll get the size of it, right? So we can add it here. So just doing here for int I is equals to 0, I is less than db dot size I plus plus. Okay, so here Inside this, I'm going to add the try. So this is like try, and this is like one more we need to add. So what is that I want to use now? Username, password. So this is a username, password, right? I don't want to log it. Okay. The other thing is like I want to get the username and password. So we are not passing any username and password, just we are getting the method name. Okay. So username. So we should get it from the DB. So to get the username and password, what I need to do now? So I'm going here and I'm trying to add private string username string password. See how simple we are trying, we are adding now. I'm not making any changes, only I'm making changes to few places. So right click and you can add the source, getter, setter, add it. Now we have like username, password, go to this and you can add set username as dot get string of what is that username. So this is how we design the framework, guys. Okay, so there is nothing much that we use, but only thing is like based on requirements that we have to use. Okay? So it should be user password. You have to give me the correct column name, otherwise it will throw the error. Okay, it will not bring the data. So now we got it. So we'll go here, and what are we going to do is like, so this variable is not required. Okay. So okay, let me put it here, and I'm going to just remove this. Yeah, this is not required here. Okay, so how do I get it now? So username entered. What is that username that we have to use it now? Here, I'm going to take. So every time I'm going to get the username, right? So I'll enter the string username. db dot get I get username. Okay, now it will automatically take care of this. Now I'm saving this. So there is some error. What is the topic? So int I is equals to. So now we have this. Oh, this is not required because we are not going to run it parallelly. We go sequentially. Okay. So, but the thing is like now you can see the index starts from 0. Okay. And site starts from 1. Site starts from 0. Okay. So we'll see that what happened. Then we can try to fix the issues. Okay. So let me run it. So enter the URL. The username and password from where we are getting out? We are getting from the database. But it is not closing this browser, right? So why did we do that? Actually, we are putting it in a for loop. Within that for loop, it is trying to just open that same browser, and it is like inserting the values from the database. Okay. I can see only one time it has executed, but you can see all the data that whatever we are getting is like Let me just go to this report and we'll see them. Okay. So we got the report here. So click open with. Oops. So this tag it is showing. Let's see. Browser launch opened, admin entered 123, admin entered 123, admin entered. All the admins are like it's everything is like properly given. Okay. All the data that whatever we have inside the database is like correct. So that is the reason why it is passing. Okay. So let me just close it now. What I'm going to do is like here I'll change a little configuration instead of doing this outside inside. So I'll be putting it like outside. Okay. So we can put here also, and we can add this one and just remove this one. Nothing but I'm just putting for loop inside the try catch. Okay. So now you see the difference here. For every iteration, it's going to open a browser. Okay. So then what it does is like it's going to do this 5 sets. Again, it's kind of like only one browser. Again, entering the username and password. So this likewise, it will keep on doing it. The for loop that whatever we are trying to put is like we are trying to put or get the data from the database. Okay. So if you want to iterate this, we have to put it like this particular test should be executed. So how many number of times it should be executed? It should be executed the size whatever we have given inside this. Okay. So in this case, we have to write it outside and we call the test method inside. Okay. So for this, it's kind of like, again, we have to create one more method. In that method, we have to call this. Okay. So how do we do it is like we can do, let me just add everything. Oh, 1 second. In this case, we can do it, but we have to add one more method. In that method, we can call this method. So what happens is like whenever we run the test, right? So it will be executed before test and after test. What we have before method and after method, what we have written. So before method, like it will invoke one browser at a time, and it's going to work on that and it will close it. But in case of, you see the difference between for loop, traditional for loop and the data provider. Data provider is like it will automatically take care of those iterations. Okay. So it's like for every test, it's going to open a new session. But here it's like for loop that we are handling, that we are not opening a new session. But here we can just terminate it. Okay. So if you are trying to use it in the form of like base class and then you want to do it. So what you have to do is like you have to take this for loop, and inside that for loop, what we have to do is like we have to put all this logic, and there we have to call this one in a different method. Let me just do this one as like a different method. So I'll be calling it like test. Okay. Right. Test DB. Here. So put this one inside this. And here I'm going to call in required. And this is catch, and this is like we need to remove this one. So URL, where are you specifying this URL? Okay, URL, we need to remove this one. Where we are getting the URL? So URL we are getting from the public. Okay, let me just remove static here. I'm just trying to make it like a regular class, regular method, so that we can call it. Okay, try catch. Okay, this is fine. This block is fine. We have like try and the catch. Yeah, this is not like that. So this we have to have one more. Yes, perfect. So we call this method, and this method is like it's going to take care of this. First it will call this for every method that it's going to, for every time when we call this, right? So it's going to open the browser, then it's going to use the URL, like whatever URL that we are giving, then username and password, then it's going to log these details. And after this method is executed, it's kind of like it should, still it is like a for loop that we are using, right? So it does the same thing again. So method inside method, what we are trying to do is like, again, we are calling the same method, right? So this will be called for multiple times. Let me just do one thing. Let me use this username login details that we have to give here. So username and password. Let me just adjust it, guys. So let me have this one. I'll remove this void, and here I'm going to remove this one. So this will be my username and password. From where I'm going to get the username and password? Data. Details dot. Get username. Get. Here again I have to give the right? So login from DB, and we are calling it here. We need to add username. We are passing the parameters, right? So we have to add them. Password. So now you see, we are getting these details. So directly we can take them. So this is not required. We're getting the username and password from here. I'm calling it from the outside. And we cannot, okay. So this is like not here. You have to put it here. Going to throw the exception. Okay. So now you see that. So it will come here and it will try to. So if you want to load it for only one time that you want to do it, you can do it from here, or you can add it to the base class. So directly you can add it to the base class here. Before method, you want to just open that browser. Okay. So launch that browser, particular browser. In that case, what we do is like we are going to use this here. And what we have this one. But URL is like, what is that URL we are getting? We are getting it from the property class. So we can go here and we can just get it from the property class. You can add it here. We are getting from the property class. Okay. So let's go now and check it here. We remove all those things. Now we have like, we are going to execute this particular test. So it will come here and it will create the object for this database, and then it's going to take the size and it will try to call this. Again, it's going to call this method. Okay. So we'll try to run it on the XML file. But data provider is the best suitable way of iterating them. Okay. The first set of data admin 1 to 3. It is like, again, it's not refreshing the page, right? So again, it's trying to add it. But we have to refresh the page so that we can add the details here. See, first set, second set, third set, fourth set, and fifth sets of data will be added here. And it will close it. Okay. But what is happening here? It's not closing the browser. To close the browser, what we have to do is like we have to call this explicitly here. So we can call it here. Okay. We can quit that browser here. So quit that browser here, or we can just use that. So anyways, we are not opening it. We are just, for every test, we have discussed about like before method and after method, right? So before method is like it will, if we are given this before method, in this case, see. Before method, it will open the browser. After method, it will close the browser. But here what we have done, we are calling only one method, and this method is like it has a for loop. So that is the reason why it is keep on putting the data inside this. Okay. I mean, like in that admin and password username and password field state, it's going to put like username and password as like admin and admin 1 to 3. Okay. So, but this is not best suitable way, but I just want to show you like how do we get the data from the database. So it's all like, if you want to retrieve the data from the database, then we have to use this logic. Removing all these things, so we'll put it as is normal. Okay. Okay, it is simple now. And other thing is like you can add, we have added the thread pool also, right? So we can add this one also. Like you can go and see. There's like parallel. If you want to execute the parallel execution, you can give the parallel execution, parallel test. So this will open a browser and this will open a browser. Okay, at a time it will open 2 browsers. So count, we have to give the thread count. But from where we are getting now? So we are getting it from the data provider itself. Okay, data provider has like 5 sets of data. Okay, so let's go. Now you see that how many browsers should be like, it should invoke this one 5 and this one 5. Okay, altogether it should be like 10 browsers should be invoked. Okay, so we have given the same name, so that is the reason why it is throwing the error. Let me just give it as like, I'm going to run it through the found.xml. Yes, I'm showing like multiple ways of execution. One is like data provider parallel and the test parallel and getting the data from the database and using that one. So we have used like reading data from the properties file, reading data, like, writing data to the log file and writing data to the extend reports and reading data from the database. Okay. And see, now it is like, you can see all the 10 are invoked. So all these things will work now because everything that we have given is like thread local. Okay. So if you want to see, somebody asks you like, how do you do the parallel testing? This is nothing but parallel testing. So all the cases There could be some errors, and that error is nothing but it's showing like why it is failing. So this is the reason it is failing. But rest of the cases you see how it is passing. It's like instead of wasting our time, now we have done the parallel testing. Okay, I'll put it as simple. And yeah, so with this we have almost completed our database testing. How do we read the data from the database and how do we use that? So tomorrow we'll be starting with. So I'll add few more things to this framework, and I'm going to push it to the Git. So tomorrow we'll see that how do we install the Git and how do we push our code to the GitHub. Okay, so this is like bigger piece, guys, and it is like very in real time we are going to use this, and very important thing in case of like interviews also. Okay. Okay, guys, here what I'm going to do is like this is already available in Git. I've pushed this one and I'm going to give the location. Like tomorrow you'll get it, guys. Okay, for today you can just go and practice this as like I'm going to send it to the WhatsApp. From tomorrow you'll be getting all these things as part of like Git. From there directly you can clone it. I'll tell you how do we clone this. Okay, so let me share this one. It's already available in Git. Okay, yes, I'll try to I'll do it tomorrow. So just wait for a day because this Git is already there. Okay, so it's nothing but it's like already it is configured to some location. If I give it to you and if you add it to your repository, I mean like to your Eclipse, so what it does is like it's going to take it as like a working repository. Okay, local repository. We have a Git here, so it will return everything like from where we have this project is configured, and it will try to search for that Git. So better like tomorrow, I'll just add everything and I'll give it to you over the Git. So directly you can clone it and you can just use that. Okay, everything is available now. So just I need to push it. So I'll push it. Let me just push this code. So I'll commit the things. So these are the new things that we have added, right? So it is showing up everything. So what are the things that we have added here? So a few things are like unstaged changes and stage. Tomorrow we'll discuss about like how do we add the staged and unstaged changes. So this is one thing that I've added. Reports we don't need. Yeah, so we can just go ahead and files. So this is something that we generally do it on a daily basis. Okay. So now you see that this information is pushed now. So there is one, it will show you like all the things are pushed. Okay. So how do you configure, how do we check this? Now it is like available to you all guys. Okay. So GitHub. So this is my GitHub. So tomorrow you need to create your GitHubs. Okay. I'll tell you how do we create that. How do we install the local Git also. So this is like new Git sample project that I've added here. So you can see all the information. So whatever we have discussed today, it will be available here. So if you want to check it, you can check it here. Okay, so main test Java. We have created the classes for this, right? So under the config that we have created, so we can go to the source main Java. So base class, we have configured few things in base class, right? URL and all that we have added. See, this is available here. Another one is like we have great configurations. So we have the great configuration, this one also. And under this resources, we have added the database, right? Today we have added this. Right, everything will be available here. Database configuration also. Whatever we have added. So it will be available. So same thing. It's kind of like everything that we have in a daily, what we do is like, see, if you are working in a multiple, we have like, like 10 to 15 people we are working and simultaneously we are pushing something. And like, this is like local copy of it. But if somebody, if you need to show that you have worked on this particular scripts and you want to show it like, it has been updated or something. For example, now this is your script and you have updated it. So now what you need to do is like, you need to go and commit it. Okay. So that's nothing, but you are telling the project, like team members that you have made some changes here. Okay. So here I'm going to say that changed remote comments. So unwanted remote, I just removed the comments, right? Or removed comments. So this is nothing but this, what this is like, this is called a version controlling tool. Okay. Now you see that when I push it. So we have things like push, pull, fetch. I'll tell you how do we do it. Okay. Origin. And then we have like local repository, working directory, local directory. And we have like staging directory. Okay. So we have different things in Git. I'll explain it in detail. So now you can go and check it. Now we made some changes here, right? So this will be removed when I just go and refresh something. Just move back and forth and you can see this will be removed. Now it is gone. Okay. Sometime you, if you want to see now what I'm going to do is like, I'll just go here. I'm going to give you this complete code is available in the Git. Okay. So just you need to copy this. Okay. So I'm just pasting it in our WhatsApp. Just you need to create account for this. And after that, what you need to do is like, you need to clone it. Okay. Clone is like, there is an option, you'll get it. So it is like master branch. It is pointing to master branch. So what you need to do is like, you need to just clone it, copy it and clone. So when you say clone, you see clone, we can directly clone it. Otherwise it's like download zip. So you can download this file and you can just import that. Okay. This is also another option. Download zip. When you download it, so complete project will be downloaded. And from there, what I need to do is like, come back to this and go here and import package. You can go to this Maven and you can import this. Okay. So these are the options. I just gave the Git location also. We can use that Git location. Okay. Thanks for your time, guys. So let's meet tomorrow. And tomorrow we'll be discussing, tomorrow based on lengthy class again, as we discussed today, right? So it will be lengthy. And because we are going to discuss multiple things tomorrow. So what is GitHub and all? It will be like, interesting thing. And it's like in real time, how do we use it? I'm going to show you. Okay. Please practice this, guys. This is very important. First, you install this MySQL. Okay. So download it, install it, and configure it and try to execute. See, code is available with you. Okay. Only thing is like, you need to understand how this is working.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay,
Thanks.
sir.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for your time. Let's meet tomorrow. Bye.
Bye, sir.
Sir, do you have any questions? Like yesterday, you were asking me something, right?
Yes, sir. Yes. Shall I share my screen?
Yeah, sure. Just let me give you permissions. Are you finding it interesting or what? How do we exactly work? Hello.
Sir.
Are you finding it interesting? But this requires a lot of practice actually. Okay, so there are a
Yeah,
lot
yes,
of discussing.
yes, sir. But I only have doubts, sir. That I have doubts.
Are you sharing this one? I don't see.
Yes, sir. I'm sure. Sir,